most of you know who I am. We have, speaking with me tonight is going to be Dr. Karen McKinnon, who is a clinical psychologist and an amazing expert on families, kids, and everything psychological.
Well, thank you.
But also one of our Miracle alumni who's been through this and kind of knows the process from your side. So Karen, we figured when we thought about this, I thought that you were like the perfect person because you have such a great insight into all parts of the sort of families and children and adults. And I guess the first thing is, when I talked to you, saying, this is, so many people that I saw even today said this is like the hardest time of the year for them. There were 3 patients today that were hysterically crying. I walked in the room, I said, what's wrong? They're like, I hate this time of year. And one of them said to me, I don't know what it is. It's just today, suddenly everything seems 100 times worse than it was last month. And her situation has changed. It's just this time of year. But when I said that to you, you said, well, the holidays are hard for everybody.
Yes.
So what is it about holiday? Like everyone on Hallmark, holiday is like this every happy time with the fire.
Right.
But what's the reality that you see just in general for the holidays? Why are they hard for people?
It's hard because I think the media, and anytime you go to a store, anytime you walk down the street, there's advertisements about the ideal family, the ideal love situation, the ideal everything. And I think it's almost like sometimes when you just even look on Facebook and you feel like, wow, these people's lives are so great and mine sucks. And I often feel less than when I go on Facebook. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't do that, and I forgot to do that. And I think it creates this vision of the world that everything's perfect. And there's, every family's different. I'm sure if we all took a survey here in terms of, who has a dysfunctional cousin or an aunt or an uncle or mom or dad, or who's not the perfect parent or sibling, we'd all be raising our hands. And I think that's true for everybody. It's true for people that I see, in my practice. The holidays are the hardest time. I also work in a school, and the holidays are hard for the kids who don't have moms or dads or families. And it's hard for everyone. And so I think
that's the starting point.
That's the starting point.
It's not easy for everyone.
It's not easy for any, and I think it's always easier to think somebody has like the perfect life, or that you should have certain things in your life at this point. And I think it's those shoulds that get in the way. And I think on the list I liked when I found the word, get rid of the shoulds. There is no one way of celebrating. There's no one family. Families come in all shapes and sizes. There's no one way to celebrate. And so I don't know if that answered your question directly, but
we're going to give you all, we have a packet at the end. We have a thing we call it our Thrive in the Holiday Toolkit. So it's a whole bunch of do's and don'ts of things that you can use as a resource, and Karen has a whole list that she added to it, so it's those shoulds as well. And so what I also see is that for people with infertility, it's even harder, because a lot of people it's like family is just pushed in their face then. So they're going to meet up with the family, and there's always going to be someone who says, why aren't I a grandma yet? Like, why won't, and they think, why are you being selfish and you won't get pregnant and let me be a grandma? And then there's other people, it's like, it's the end of the year, so I'm 1 year older, and I said in 2019 I was going to have a baby. So there's like this deadline in their head. And then other people, it's like, well, I'm going to be around my family and I can't be happy because I don't have what I want. I got to buy a present for my nephew and I want a child. Or this is where inevitably people announce that they're pregnant, or people announce that someone else is pregnant, and you're like, great, so I'm not. Right. So I think that makes it twice as hard with people with infertility.
I think your lens changes when you go through the infertility process, and all of a sudden, I mean, every woman that's pregnant, like, is larger than life walking down the street. And, you know, every baby picture or whatever, it's just blown up in your mind. And it really, when you're sort of, you can really get in your own head, I think is what I want to say, is that you can really get in your own head and really feel badly about yourself. And it's sort of like selective attention.
Right.
You know, if you're on a diet, all of a sudden you see every donut that's in front of you. And if you're trying to get pregnant, you see every baby, every pregnant mother. And it's just, I guess, part of the way the brain works. But I guess in going through it myself and in, you know, doing a little bit of research and in being a psychologist, it sometimes helps. Sometimes it makes it worse because you overthink things. But you only have control over certain things in your life. And I think during the holidays, I think it helps to take control over the pieces of your life that you do have control over. And so you do have choices about how you spend your holiday. You have choices about who you see, how long you stay, what you say, what you don't say, and it's a way, and how you take care of yourself. And I think that the control piece is huge because it allows you to just feel a little bit more in charge of your life and like everything's not out of your hands.
Well, let me break that up into now, let's give people the action items, like what do you do about it? So let's say, what are some tips if you think there's going to be this party where something, like what do you do if you anticipate a painful or unpleasant situation to make it stop before it happens? Like, there's going to be this party, and my either drunk uncle's going to be there, or my sister's going to announce she's pregnant and doesn't want to be, and people are going to ask me questions and ask me to share everything. So you anticipate this thing's going to happen. What are some strategies people can use?
Well, I think first you have to know yourself and know your style. So pretend it wasn't a fertility issue, pretend it was another issue. How would you handle a rude in-law in a different situation? And sort of take the fertility piece out of it. So let's say you know Uncle Joe's going to be there. You don't have to go. If you
So
want,
is it okay to say no?
It's absolutely okay to say no, and you don't have to go. I always like to have an escape clause when I go somewhere that I think I might feel uncomfortable. Sometimes it might involve taking a second car. Sometimes it might involve just, having a buzzword with my spouse and saying, okay, if I say this, it means I'm done, let's get out of there. Or just expecting what the person's going to say and have a comeback ready.
Do you have to answer the question? Like if people want you to share what's happening, why aren't you pregnant? Do you have to answer those questions?
No, you could, if you want, if you're more of a direct, I think it has to be in keeping with your style as a person. So if you're more of a direct person and you want to say, you know what, that's a really personal question to ask. So tell me about your job. How are you doing? And just change the subject. And I think just to have a couple of quick phrases in mind. And if you want to say, you know what, we're trying, it's hard, it's not working the way we want, I want to enjoy the holiday. I'm happy to be here with all of you, but I really don't want to talk about that.
Right, so you could say it, or you could just say, change the subject, or leave.
Or you could leave. You don't have to be there or make it time limited. There's lots of options, there. You don't have to stay. And I think that's taking back your control and your charge of the situation. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, because that's what I seem to hear a lot is people feel like they're put into a situation and they're stuck and they don't know what to say and they feel they have to say something.
Right.
So it sounds like you can either avoid it or change the topic as it's happening.
Right, and also I think sometimes people have a way of interacting even with their partner, and you might not even agree with your partner on how to handle the situation. Some people tend to be more accommodating and they feel like they have to be there for every holiday. I mean, I have friends that are like that where they feel like they do every holiday the exact same way and they have to do this and they have to do that and then we do this and that. who says? I mean,
and is it okay, like, what do you do if you're in the middle of this celebration and you're not happy? Like, is it okay, first of all, is it okay to not be happy when you're supposed to be pretending that everyone's happy?
Right.
Is that okay?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that I put that as number one on the list. They're not necessarily in an order, but I think you have to know how you're feeling to begin with. If you're the kind of person that can joke things off, great, and you want to use a sense of humor to deflect the situation, great, but not everybody's like
Because I know
that.
some people feel guilty, like, here I am and I'm not happy, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, well, but life throws us curveballs all the time, and sadness is as much a part of life as anger. I always tell the people that I work with, you need all your emotions, because your emotions tell you what to do. They give you a clue as to how you're feeling, and then you can make a decision. If you don't know how you're feeling and you're acting kind of impulsively, then you might jump and make a wrong decision for yourself, because you really have to know how you're feeling first and foremost. If you're furious, great, you can be furious. I tell people all your feelings are important and they're all okay. How you choose to act on your feelings or not act on them, that's up to you.
'Cause I think as much as you said the Facebook thing, that makes you feel lesser. Like, you see everyone who's happy, you think you're supposed to be happy. But then on top of it, then you feel guilty because, well, I'm not even, not am I not happy like them,
Right.
but I'm not, now I feel guilty about not being happy. So
Right.
it's like a double sword.
Right. Well, it's real easy to beat yourself up.
Yeah.
When you're going through this process. I mean, I just remember personally, I'm like, some of the thoughts that I was thinking, I'm like, they didn't quite make sense. And I'm like, I'm actually becoming a little superstitious, I think. And, this as a person of, science and or even philosophy, I was like, why am I doing this to myself? And I think it's normal to feel sad during this time of year.
I think that's an important thing to say.
And
So then, I guess, to switch it and make it something where you're, like our theme about thriving and not surviving, before we break into our groups and kind of come up with action plan for each person, what are some strategies you think that people can do alone or with their spouse, with all this stuff that's going on? You're sad in a sense that you're going through this, and maybe you had a good or bad relationship with your family and you go to the party, but what can you do at the holiday time to make it good for you and or your spouse with all this going on? How do you make the holidays good?
right. Well, I saw one idea. I started reading a bunch of articles, and one idea said have an adult-only party, and you host it, and then you can set the parameters for what the party's about. It's really easy to walk into a situation and have it be a kid-centric party. Look, people have adult-only weddings for a reason. They want the day to be about them. You could make it a theme. The theme could be baking cookies. The theme could be a craft, and then that way there's a focus. It could be a joke party, a game party. It doesn't have to be the traditional, Christmas party. Other things you can do, I think you just need to know yourself and be good to yourself. I paint. And it's a great way to get out. I'm in my head all the time, so I want to get out of my head, and I want to do. But that's me. Some people might prefer to do something, more physical, yoga. Go take a walk on the beach. Whatever works for you. It doesn't have to be. You could go to a Chinese restaurant for.
I think the theme from
For
all
dinner.
of these is you do something that is really enjoyable, that's a celebration. Like,
Right.
you take time to do something good.
Yes.
So I see some people will go on a vacation, some will go to a restaurant, some will go skiing. It's like you consciously decide to do something for you that you know is fun, separate from this is what I'm supposed to
Right.
do at the holidays.
Right. Well, and that's why you just, again, take the shoulds out of it. If you find yourself saying, well, I have to, or I should, then you may be, going down a path that could not, be best for you. So,
Yeah.
and that's hard for a lot of people, whether or not they're dealing with fertility issues, is to take care of themselves. I think we all run ourselves ragged trying to do all, be all, and I think it's no different for fertility than it is for, somebody, doing everything at their job and not taking time to smell the roses, to take a vacation, to go, make yourself, go have a nice dinner, go get together with some friends, have a glass of wine,
Yeah.
all of those really enriching things.
Well, I think that's what we wanted. I think that's everything. That's how to prepare, what to do when you get there, and things to do to celebrate. So we have some time. If you guys have ideas, either comments to share, or something you think you thought of from this, something that you've experienced, or a question for Karen, go ahead. Let's open it up and feel free to ask.
You covered everything.
I did. Everyone's family's perfect. I know mine isn't.
I mean, and I think an important thing from the medical side is, like we had someone say, like, it's 2020 and now I'm 35. And we said, okay, well now you're 34 and 12 and a half months today. It's 11 and a half months today. It's not like each year when the calendar changes that your body falls off a cliff. You're really the same. Like 34 and 11/12 is no different than 35 and 2/12. So it's like, it's a spectrum. And as long as you have a plan, it's like these divisions we have are somewhat arbitrary, but they're milestones that sound scary.
Right.
So we want to try and make a plan for the new year, like, okay, what are you going to do to take an action? It's not like...
I would say just pick one thing. I think we often pick lofty goals, and then we set ourselves up to be disappointed. I think it's important, sure, you can pick one long-term goal, but pick one short-term doable goal. Like, I'm just gonna go for a walk every morning and clear my head. Or, that's a great tool, even if you're at a family function and you get yourself into a situation, I need some air. And just go for a walk.
Yeah, we have that someone
Take
like that
the
in my family.
Take the family dog and go.
We have one of those that gets crowded and they go out for a walk and then they come back. I've seen that. All right, so let me talk a little bit about the little exercise we're going to do. We have some time for it.
Should I hand out the packet?
Yeah, Michelle's going to hand out the packet. So in the packet we have the Thriving Toolkit, which you can take when you go home, but this is the action plan. And what we want is for you guys to leave tonight with no matter where you are in this journey, you're going to have some ups and downs this holiday, so we want you to help prepare for it. And so what this is there's 3 sections: troubleshooting, brainstorming, and celebrating. So the troubleshooting section is going to be, what is it that you think is coming up that you could prepare for? So you could write down 3 things, and it's what is something that you're anticipating that may be difficult to go through. It's the meeting with Johnny, or my sister is pregnant and I'm going to see her. So 3 things that you're anticipating are going to come that may be difficult. And then the brainstorming is 3 things that you could do if you're in that situation. So the first one is planning. What are the 3 things that could happen? The second one is 3 things you could do. And the last one is celebrating, is what are 3 things that you can do for yourself in the next month to really celebrate being alive and, another great year. And so something special for you, not that you're going to do for someone else, but something you can do for you that's good for you, that makes you happy.